Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is inheritance in Java? Let me answer. Inheritance is a mechanism in Java where one class acquires the properties of another class. Okay, let me explain this in detail. So what is inheritance? What is inheritance in Java? Inheritance is a mechanism in Java where one class acquires the properties of another class. Okay, inheritance is a mechanism in Java where one class acquires the properties of another class. This class, which is acquiring the properties of another class, is called as a child class. Okay, the class which is acquiring the properties of another class is called a child class, and the class from which the properties are getting acquired into this child class is nothing but a parent class. Okay, the class which acquires the properties of a parent class is called as of another class is called as child class, and the class from which the properties are getting acquired into the child another class is called as a parent class. Okay, so like in real world where we acquire finances or, properties or genes from our parents, right? In our real life, the children acquires you know, the children acquires the properties or genes from their parents, right? Properties and genes from their parents. So here also the child class is going to acquire the properties of the parent class. What properties means? Properties means the class members like variables, methods, etc. Okay. The child class is going to acquire the properties from the parent class. Child class will not create these variables and methods, but rather these variables and methods are created in the parent class, and child class simply will acquire these variables and methods and use it in the child class. Okay, that's what is inheritance all about. Okay, child class will inherit this, acquire these properties or inherit these properties from the parent class instead of creating here. Fine. So how does this happen? With the help of a keyword in Java known as extends keyword, we can make one class in Java extend another class. The class which extends another class is called as child class, and the class from which the extension is done is called as a parent class. Okay, child class extends parent class is the syntax. Okay, let me practically demonstrate this for you. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE, where I'm going to create a new class. Okay, I'll say class 1, or class 1 otherwise. Okay, and I'll click on finish. In this class 1, I'm going to create some variables and methods. I'll say int a is equal to 5, int b is equal to 10, and some method public void sample1 method. Okay, inside sample1 method of class 1. Okay, like this, few variables and one method I created. You can create any number of variables and methods inside this class. Now I'm going to create another class. I'll say class 2. Now this class has its own properties. Let's say int c is equal to some 15 is there, and some method is also there like public void sample2. Okay, sample2. So here I'll write down system.out.println inside sample2 method of class 2. Okay. So here, what I want to do here is I'm going to create one more class. I'll just name this class as demo class with public static void main. So I'll just drag it somewhere here. Now, so here inside this main method, or I'll just drag this class to here so that it looks good here. Here we have class 1 having these 2 variables and 1 method, let's say, and we have class 2 having 1 variable and 1 method. Okay. Now, if I want to access these variables and methods of this particular class here, in this demo class, if I want to access the variables and methods of this class 1, I need to create an object for the class 1, new class 1. Okay. In real time, we do the same thing, right? Not to access the variables and methods of the another class. For that class, we have to create the object inside the methods like this, okay, of another class. So I'll say C1 is equal to, I'll just declare this with the class 1. And using this object reference that is C1, okay, using this object reference C1 dot, I can access the variables and methods of the class 1, right? You see, I can print it out. System.out.println C1 dot A. I can print the value of A here. Okay, I can print the value of A. Variable A, I'm able to access using the object reference of this class, right? Similarly, I can access the variable B in this class 1. How? System.out.println C1 dot B. I can access. If I want to access this method, again using the object reference, that is C1 dot sample1. Okay, I can access this variables and methods of this class 1. Fine. But using the object reference of class 1, can I access the variables and methods of the class 2? That is not possible. You see, if I say C1 dot, I'm not getting C here. You see, I'm not able to access C. Or neither I'm not able to access sample2 method. Sample1 is coming, but sample2 is not coming. Okay. So similarly, if I want to access the variables and methods of this class 2, I need to create an object for the class 2. New class 2. Okay. Now here, I'll write C2 is equal to here class 2. Okay. And using the object reference of this class 2, I can only access the variables and methods of this class 2. Right. C2 dot, you see, I can access C here. I can print it out. System.out.println C2 dot C. Okay, I can access the variable of the class 2, and same time I can access the method of, I can call the method of the class 2, that is sample2 method. I can access. Okay, I can call. Okay, for class 2, I can call the method of the class 2. Fine. So all good so far. So far all good. Okay. So now using the object reference of the class 2, can access the members of this class 1. That's not possible. C2 dot A. You cannot access. C2 dot B, you cannot access. C2 dot sample1 method. Only sample2 is coming. Sample1 is not coming. But if I want to access, okay, if I want to access the members of the class 1 using the object reference of the class 2, what I have to do is I have to make this class 2 a child class of the class 1. How can I make this class 2 a child class of the class 1? With the help of extends keyword. There is a keyword known as extends keyword, using which I can make this particular class a child class of the another class. So now what happens is class 1 becomes the parent of the class 2, and class 2, since it is a child of the class 1, will inherit all these properties, will acquire all these properties along with the properties that the class 2 itself has, that C and sample2, the members of this class 2. Along with that, these properties of its parent class, the properties of the parent class 1, also will be acquired or inherited by the class 2. Now this variables and methods of the class 1 are also part of the class 2, even though they are not created specially here, because class 2 is the child class of the class 1. So all the properties of the class 1 are part of the class 2 automatically. The moment I make the class 2 a child class of the class 1, now you see I can access this. Okay, I can say system.out.println C2 dot, I can access A. You see, now the properties of the parent class can be accessed with the object reference of the child class. System.out.println. Once I make that as a child class of the parent class, okay, class 2 as a child of this class 1 parent, then okay, what happens? I can access all the properties of the child class using the object reference of the child class itself. C2 dot, I can call the method sample1 method also I can call now. Okay, the moment this class becomes a child class of the class 1, all the properties of the class 1 are acquired by the child class or inherited by the child class. So using the object reference of the child class, you can not only access the properties of this child class, but also the properties which are inherited by the child class from the parent class. Okay. So hope guys, you understood what exactly is inheritance in Java. Okay. So this is what is inheritance in Java, guys. Inheritance is a mechanism in Java where one class acquires the properties of another class. Okay. With practical demonstration, I have answered this question for you in this session. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye.